doing it last year, but more recently it was Showmaker that brought it back out. As Fiesta, thinking about heading towards that Azir that you were talking about, wanted to make sure that he'd secured the matchup. Not going to have to worry about something like an Aurelia. Syndra also an option, doesn't give you the Sejuani value, but they are just going to be able to get a decent laning phase, hopefully not get jumped on by the Jace. And the thing that's really cool about Double AD for Live Sandbox is they have Maokai and Heimerdinger, the two in their roles that do so much magic damage. You don't need to worry about it.
Absolutely. Overall, the compositions, I would prefer the Sandbox one. You have a incredibly strong poke unit with which you can siege. You also have a Fiora that, provided that you don't fall behind in the 1v1, should have a good matchup into the Jax here. This is definitely one of those matchups where if Sylvie visits top and Dundon gets 2 kills, Brodo doesn't really get to play the game. But it works both ways, so maybe we'll see junglers acknowledge top. I'm not getting my hopes up because that generally isn't what happened. But the single target pick from Nongshim is really good. And this is a team that has been very vocal. They love playing aggressive. And if you hit a scatter, if you hit an ultimate, the follow-up with the Jhin, with the Syndra is really, really good. So overall, there are definite possibilities for Nongshim. But the stability, the pressure that they have in terms of priority, and overall, I think the cohesiveness of the Sandbox composition is going to make this a relatively hard game for Nongshim.
No, I agree. I think they do have some avenues towards early and mid-game to get stuff done. And like you say, single target pick, something that we have seen working out for a lot of our teams. It's pretty straightforward to play. The other issue that I have is the complete misunderstanding of how to utilize Fiora for a lot of our LCK teams.
Yeah.
So Live Sandbox, try and go with Teamfight Fiora. Kind of hope they lose, because we don't want to see Teamfight Fiora as a thing that a lot of teams think is a good option. But here we are. These are your drafts, and it's time to move towards Summoner's Rift for our first game of the day. All right, let's see how it's going to go. Bertel has, of course, played a fair bit of Fiora in the past, and he was on, Gen G for a little while, where they did utilize split pushing sometimes, but it was also an organization that was notorious for just defaulting back to teamfight as well. We'll just have to see how it's going to go, because Nongshim are a team that did manage to win a certain best of 5 by split pushing. Maybe Dundon
have we told this story too many times?
Probably. But we do need to make sure that everyone knows.
We're going to summarize it, because I don't want to deny anyone the possibility to watch that VOD when, on a bored winter's day. But Dundon went 0-7 and still got MVP and won the finals single-handedly. If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry. Didn't to me at the time either.
He was also playing Jax at the time.
He was,
a bit more poignant.
Same pick. Makes it for a fun little memory, and whether that is going to be repeated here, I highly doubt, but should be mentioned as overall, looking at the runes here, do see that the bot side going for double comment, obviously in case of Heimerdinger, pretty standard, but Envy opting into this as well, so really not looking to try and actually give Vita the opportunity to go in for any early autos. Yep. Not giving the opportunity to go for a 4th shot, but instead fully just hit ease and Qs. And this is why I think the Heimerdinger is so obnoxious to play into. Because this is Karma.
Yeah.
Like, Karma has been the support for how long now? Like 8, 9 years?
Yeah, it's the I want lane priority support.
And here we are, looking at a weird head Yodel with glasses. Just not caring.
And speaking of not caring, Fiesta didn't care about the fact that Syndra's win rate has been pretty abysmal over the last little while. Currently 3-7, but those 7 losses have been in a row. Right now, level 3 to level 2, it's looking like Syndra's a pretty good pick. But we'll see how it's going to go as this game continues. It's the longevity that I think has really been the struggle for the Syndra.
And looking at some of the rune choices here, we already went shortly over Envy's closer, also going for the Electrocute. playing into Syndra, they're obviously going to be a lot more burst involved, a lot of shorter trades, so being able to try and match the Syndra is going to be very helpful in that regard. And overall, a lot of resolve here. We see it in topside, obviously, with the Grasp, but Dundun and Closer also going both for that secondary. To try and keep up a little bit, as I love that interaction so much. Like the mind game of Riposte versus Counter-Strike is just a joy to watch. Always really, really fun. There, obviously, Birdle getting the better hand as Sylvie.
Yeah.
Doesn't have Smite, but
no one does. And in fact, they have mid lane priority. So I really like that Sylvie just didn't even think about Willa possibly contesting because his Syndra was so much further up the lane. And there was no way that they were going to be able to contest. So now an opportunity for that double scuttle. Sejuani off to a flying start here. Not seeing anything represented in the gold or anything like that. But if you are a Nongshim fan, it's definitely what we're going to need to see, because this game does get more difficult as time goes on. We're going to need to find some edges, find some avenues to break this game open and allow their pick composition to actually get picks, right? And that involves breaking down turrets, getting early advantages, and causing some chaos here on the map.
Yeah, I do think the Nongshim composition, provided the top lane matchup doesn't spiral, still has some mid to late game win conditions, even if they lose some control. But as you point out as well, if there is a Maokai sapling in every single rush, and Kyle gets the setup around objectives, then for Nongshim you can't really walk in, right? You need to catch someone in a rotation. You can 5v5, but I do think that overall it will be a lot tougher. So looking at some of these first fights, if we get around a first Drake, if we move towards a Herald early on, that's where I'd really expect Nongshim to try and hard force. As overall, the bot lane not very eventful. Mid lane, both mid laners teleported back to the lane. Fiesta now hitting nearly level 6, but barring any crazy missteps, don't think we're going to see that much action until later on, as Wheeler just going to help out Closer, say hello.
Yeah, bit of a drive-by.
Yeah,
Fiesta has to pick up a kitty cat on his way through. Doesn't feel fantastic. Winter's Wrath there, doing a fair bit of work for Sylvie. As Scat of the Week also connects. That was really cool, Fiesta. Nicely done. Swifties picked up by Vital. Best boots in the game. I will not hear anything else. And Willa will just go back into his jungle and see if he can catch up. Sylvie has been farming very effectively on this Sejuani thus far, and I think the double scuttle certainly has helped him out. Dundun and Birdle. Dundun with level 6 already picked up, and Birdle holding on to his teleport here, as he can see. He didn't need it in order to catch the wave, so he'll have that little advantage if this gank does actually come through.
Yeah, there isn't really a cost here for Sylvie either. If Birdle does decide to go aggressive, which based on the wave state clearly doesn't really need to, then Sylvie can go in, but top side still clearable. Then I actually have been really liking the kind of communication and the cohesion between Sylvie and Fiesta. Coming into this, we were talking a little bit about how Wheeler and Closer have actually been a very strong mid-jungle 2v2, as now even Dundun, right? Just helping his jungler get another scuttle.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to get his team ahead, making sure he actually utilizes the priority. It's nothing crazy from Nongshim, but when it comes to these challenger teams, this is where I'd expect them to look the most cohesive before the map and the game really opens up. So actually seeing them do so is quite nice.
Absolutely. And we're now going to see Vital try and catch back up in farm. He was actually doing a very good job staying even as we get to 39 stacks on Fiesta. Picked up a whole bunch of slivers, shards, splinters, I was to say it correctly. So it does have that first upgrade on the queue. Extra charge, feeling pretty good about it. See where the items are going to go. We've seen a few different choices from Syndra's. Fiesta looking like he at least wants a Seraphs at some point.
Yeah,
Where he goes outside of that, we'll have to see.
I like this more than the Rod of Ages Syndra. I think Rod of Ages, if you're actually able to utilize it well, is great. So that means that you're either a Swain who can really utilize the health that it provides in a great way, or you're casting a Rise because...
Well, Silas, yeah.
Yeah, Silas, yeah, Silas is another example of obviously loving every stat that it gives. And then in terms of Rise, literally skills with mana. Kassadin is kind of gated by mana, but on burst mages like the Syndra, we've seen it on the Victor as well, and it just doesn't really feel that good. Doesn't feel great. Bot lane priority now turned into a nice pickup from the Dragoness.
Well, Fiesta going to throw that gameplay button out. Sylvie threatening the Glacial Prison. And so therefore, Liv Sandbox going to back away for the moment. Saplings flying about. That control ward immediately going to get taken down. So Liv Sandbox with a bit of free time on this outer turret, sort of what they've managed to get for themselves, and that will be plate number 1, while Sylvie heads over towards this Rift Herald and looks to lock that one down. The Maokai on the bottom side of the map, so therefore I think Sylvie should be able to get this one, especially with Dundun having a bit of priority there towards that top side.
And Closer with this setup as well was, Vital. Might be in some trouble here. Does know his team is picking up the Herald, so it's going to piece out, but this already evens up the score for Sandbox, right? You're already getting your 2 plates.
Yeah.
You're also denying here. And that roam from Peter towards mid was, I think, a good idea, making sure that your jungle can actually go for it. But with Kael on vision in the bot lane, didn't really need to go for that. And as a result, if Peter's there, then Vital can stay, hold the wave, but not going to be the case here. So bit of a mistake there from the Nongshim bot lane, which they should still come out favorably in terms of gold when the Herald actually crashes. Gold now even between the 2 teams, but those are the type of moments where, you know, if you have Peter there, then maybe you drop a plate.
Yep.
But just a little bit of optimization as...
Ooh, okay, Closer going to be able to flash his way out. Still, that is flash on cooldown into a Syndra, a dangerous position to be in.
Yeah, I want to highlight as well that the double Merc Threads buys from Willer and Closer actually help a lot. As, bro,
This
Dundun.
is pretty cute. There's the flash forward, but Dundun not going to have enough to take down Bertle this time around. Sylvie lurking, and Dundun getting a solo plate in the 1v1 against the Fiora on this, Jax. You can say what you want about the matchup. I'm looking at the players, and I'm proud of Dundun.
So reliable. That's what he does. I'm not sure if he ordered a minion or cancelled his auto. We're going to see that in replay, but even without him getting the kill, right? Like, shoves in the wave, gets a plate,
20 CS up.
Summoner, 20 CS up, single-handedly. Still, admirable performance here from a top laner that has, again, had less than stellar individual laning performances.
Yeah.
On the Jax. As I was saying though, I really like the, I really want to highlight, and I really like the double Merc buy from mid jungle here, because it does mean that both the setup time is less, a lot of the Sejuani's kit gets weakened, it's also just in general a good buy in the Syndra, and as Vital and Peter.
All right, Nature's Grasp going to come out. And it is a double snare as Chains of Corruption comes in. Decent little ult as Peter going to be able to have a shield. So he should be all right, but can't participate in this 3v3. Piercing Arrow does come through. Nongshim are going to be able to back away.
And nicely done there by Sandbox. Still able to get out a lot of pressure, but they don't really get that much for it, right? It's now, this wave state not great for Bertle. You're playing into Dundun, who already finished his Sunderer, so lane a wee bit unplayable now for the Sandbox top laner until he can at the very least match the item, which I don't know how long that's going to take him. Doesn't have teleport either, so...
I don't know what you're talking about. Bertle has 5 items. Dundun only has 1.
Okay.
It's a fact, you know. Is 5 items better than 1? We'll just have to see.
Well, I wouldn't call them items, I'd call them components.
I think they still take up an item slot. And what do you put in item slots? Items. That's what I'm saying. I think Bertle's doing just fine.
I think you're on the verge of a discovery that might revolutionize League of Legends as we know it, Atlas. I think you should dive deeper.
You should talk to full build Kyle towards the bottom side. Absolutely incredible. As Bertle will pick up this wave, and he's under no real issue right now, of course, trading Ghost for Flash. You feel pretty good about that. There might be a window in which he'll have that Summoner Spell advantage and a Jungler in order to get something done against this Jax. There's Vital down here, going for the Ghost Blade to start things off. I thought, after seeing the Fleet footwork, that maybe we'd see a bit of a variation, but it looks like it is once again going to be the more lethality-leaning Jhin we've been seeing sort of taken over recently. As there's another Nature's Grasp. All right, Rift Herald going to come through. That is going to deny plates for Dundun, or just in general, as Close is going to turn up. So Nongshim get no money for that Rift Herald that they picked up.
Double teleport invested as well, and that's really the downside for Nongshim. They might not have gotten themselves this crash, right? You don't get the first turret regardless, but you could have gotten the plates. But because Fiesta also invests his teleport, the trade overall, much less than you could have gotten out of it. And as a result, maybe a bit quick on the trigger there. Nice cancel from Sandbox. And as of right now, are matching what Nongshim is doing very nicely. And if Nongshim, like they have thus far been unable to, gets onto the mid-game on even footing and towards these objectives on even footing, it's not impossible, but it will be very hard. Right now that they're spiking hard. They have first item spike on Sylvie, Fiesta, and Vital. So if I was Sandbox, I'd take it very easy. Isn't the case for you. And there we see again, yeah, the lane assignments from Nongshim just a little bit behind the curve, and Sandbox keep using it to pick up 3 leads across the map, which really keeps them relevant here in terms of gold.
Absolutely. Vital going to make his way back down, but notices that there are 4 plates missing from his turret the last 5 seconds, and Envy was able to pick up his 4th. So this Varus in a great position, and as you can see, money starting to pile up. All 4 plates going over to the Varus. So Envy's mid-game going to be feeling very good about. Does need a bit of a reset, I think, in order to spend some of that gold, because like you were saying, item spikes were in a great position for Nongshim. I think that was to do with reset timings as Sylvie coming on over, clearing things out where he can, but Kyle and Willa taking a decent amount of control as Dundun looking for Bertle. I've seen this before. That flash just barely not off cooldown. He's playing this matchup out very, very well as Nature's Grasp is going to fly forward. All right, let's see what Willa can do. Bramble smash onto 2. Fiesta going to get taken down first. That's first blood at 15 minutes in this game. There's now Dundun walking on over, looking for Bertle, finds himself the Counter-Strike Grand Challenge has been issued, and Dundun says, yes, please. Chasing after him now, and with the Ghost running, Bertle is going to be able to make his way out, but I think Jax is winning this matchup thus far.
Yeah, doing a really good job. Unfortunately for Nongshim, they got caught not ready for Liv Sandbox, who were, regardless of those item spikes, going to contest the objective. Also, as a result, not going to be able to get the first turret blood here on Dundun, who is desperately trying. And I would have loved if Sylvie and Fiesta communicate a little bit better here, because I don't think this fight is great, because, again, Jin isn't roaming up yet, right? Not able to get it, missed the ultimate as well. And because of how Nongshim lines up, it isn't just Sylvie that catches the Maokai ultimate. So, as a result, Sandbox a bit quicker on the trigger, nicely done by them. And it also showcases what we were saying earlier. You saw some of the health bars on Nongshim actually being quite low. You can't just hesitate against Jace, Varus, and Heimerdinger. And even Maokai at this point is a poke champion, which still feels weird. But really, he is in this type of scenario. So, need to see a little bit more decisiveness from Nongshim. But they have a man with a dream.
Yeah.
And his name is Alt Reliable.
He's a man with a dream and a lamppost, and he's going to see what he can get done. But right now, you're exactly right. I think that the map play has been better from Liv Sandbox almost across the board. Nongshim feeling like they're playing on the back foot with a composition that would really like to be making first move. As Vital, that wasn't the move that he wanted to make.
Yeah, he's very far behind because, as mentioned previously, even though both AD carries are currently on 0-0-0, Envy picked up first turret blood.
Well, Envy also not going to pick up the prison. Deadly Flourish is going to connect onto the Varus, but that is a point-blank massive amount of rockets. Salvo, that's what's the word that I was looking for. And Kyle going to force out the Sejuani.
Nice use of the Ghost Blade there by Envy as well to get himself the sidestep, and that's exactly what I was talking about. You are still substantially ahead, and now Sandbox just very cleanly turning this lead that they have in the bot lane. Coincides with Jace picking up his Eclipse, so spiking is Sandbox right now, and even when they weren't, they were able to get the better end of these trades, and it kind of ties back into what we were saying. I don't think the Heimerdinger would have solved issues for Nongshim, but it would have prevented the bot lane from being a big of a problem as it was, because they, Kyle and Envy have been shoving since like mid-1.
Yeah,
right? And Varus alone is really good at fighting for Prio, one of the reasons why the champion right now is one of, because again, he's just very well-rounded, a lot of early game power, but especially when combined with the Heimerdinger, you're just going to be stuck underneath your turret. And I think Nongshim is really noticing that here right now, and it's not impossible for them. Again, Dundun in a dream, and they still have pick. So if Sandbox overstep and someone just closer, for example, walks into a Syndra stun, they can follow up very easily, but right now, not looking great for Nongshim.
No, it's a difficult time. Peter taking half of his health bar from one piercing arrow, as Sylvie looking for his option, looking for a way in. Has an ultimate, but otherwise not too much more. And Vital just has to watch as his turret falls down. Fiesta moving forward. There's a Glacial Prison. It is going to connect, but it's only onto the Heimerdinger as the Nature's Grasp is now going to be in response. Sylvie just going to get locked down by everyone. Fiesta suffers even worse fate. And yeah, we said that Nongshim had pick. Liv Sandbox seemed to have more.
Both a little bit disjointed from Nongshim there, with Sylvie, right, hitting an ultimate and Vital not being on time. But even if he had rooted, I don't think it matters. The moment Nongshim attempts an engage, Wheeler throws down an ultimate, everyone's rooted, and then it's just a shooting gallery, but like not a rigged one. You know how you go to the carnival and you're like, this is rigged? Well, this isn't. And then all of a sudden it's very easy, as Dundun does have reinforcements on his way.
Indeed. So we're going to move down. Doesn't have ult. Should be able to at least help the Jax do battle. As closer, yeah, with W in your gun form, you're feeling pretty good about taking down that turret. But minions are going to run out, so at least a little bit of respite there. As Fiesta struggling to find value out of this Syndra. Yet again, really does seem to be Syndra's fate. You get to mid-games and you find yourself extraordinarily squishy. And if you don't have any control of the map, really isn't too much that you can do to stop it.
And it's really tough. I think that Nongshim, if they pivot away and draft, like look again. Even if you do hit the W here on KL, you can't engage, right? Your turret's almost is immediately down, but you need to engage because if you just sit around, you're gonna get blown up. So it makes the game very tough, and fortunately for Nongshim, and this is me trying to be positive as always.
Yep.
Dundun, if he can get a good flank off, can get on top of Envy, might at least be able to force some summoners. And then on the next fight, you might have a shot, as that really is all that you got right now.
That is a point-blank ulti. Let's see whether they can take down Closer. Already Fiesta is almost just dead. The Jhin tries to get the work done as Karma's dead as well. Yes, they managed to get Closer, but at what cost is the question, as Dundun going to get challenged. Bertel really wants to find himself some revenge, and I think he may just get it, as Dundun does his very best to try and get out, but he's not going to be able to make it happen. And Liv Sandbox are going to look at Baron here at 20 minutes into the game.
Coming into the night, we were talking about Sandbox, how their adaptation in drafts have been great, and this to me is a great example. Really think that they're showcasing that what they got is very, very strong. They're able to set up a lot of these mid-game fights. Nongshim is trying to force because, again, they can't really just sit still, because even with Dundun winning inside, that's not enough, right? You're being sieged, you're losing objectives. So look at Peter and Fiesta. They're 75% before the fight has even started. Closer doesn't even die, courtesy of, or well, in the end he does, after Dundun teleports in, but doesn't die for the larger part of the fight, and at that point it's already lost. Wheeler able to lock down multiple targets, and it's just pretty straightforward. Cleanly played by Sandbox. I like that draft a lot. They're playing accordingly, and for Nongshim, into this Baron, I think we are going to be looking towards the second game.
I think so too. I think Nongshim probably need to hang up their hats and think about what they're going to be picking into the next game that's going to be allowing them to win. Because so far, I mean, the best part of the story is Dundun, as he's going to get discovered. Sylvie alongside him. This Baron buff now getting to work. Inner turret taken in the mid lane. Top side of the map has equalized, so Nongshim doesn't have to worry about that for now, but you can see the rest of Liv Sandbox just bearing down on this bottom lane, whilst playing a bit of 2-3 to get these things shoved forward.
And if Nongshim had picked themselves up Heimerdinger and Maokai on first rotation, the game could have looked very different, really seeing the power of these picks. Right, the moment the ultimate comes down against the overwhelming poke is, oh no.
Oh dear, Envy is dead. Well, this is going to put a little bit of a dampener in what Liv Sandbox are trying to do.
Well, that was unfortunate. Big oopsie there from Envy. Gets caught well underneath the turret by Jin.
And now, Vital has a bit of extra money in his pocket.
Yeah.
So that's good news for him. Blade of the Ruin King done here for Dindin as well. So, look, there's stuff to defend with, but I think it's still a circling of the drain that we are having a look at right now. Sylvie turns up in the nick of time. Nice capitalization there. But Liv Sandbox, I mean, for Nongshim, this has bought a bit of time. And I think that that's all it's really going to do.
It's not going to have a big impact, or shouldn't rather have a big impact on the outcome of the match. Mistake from Envy.
We're going to need more mistakes like that, all right? If you're a Nongshim fan, you're looking at Liv Sandbox to drop the ball a couple of extra times before we're really going to...
Still possible.
I mean, of course.
That's the beauty.
There are Nexuses on both sides of the rift.
Back to the Nexus theory again.
Indeed.
But I'm talking about realistic options.
Well, one of these Nexi will die at the end of the game, and it's either Nongshim's or Liv Sandbox's. So I think still a 50-50. As Nature's Grasp coming on through here.
I got 1 day. 1 day of rest.
I know, it was not enough. It was not enough at all.
It was too much.
Yeah.
I need to actually spend every day with you to keep my tolerance high. It's the opposite approach.
Oh no.
If you didn't watch the Challenger broadcast on Monday, great choice.
Yeah, good idea.
You made a good decision.
Yeah, there are certainly some recordings of what we were going through.
It was very
You can go back and watch those, but you definitely don't need to watch the entire thing.
I would strongly recommend against it.
Yeah. Especially because you don't get chat replay anymore, which is a bit of a shame. That was definitely one of the best parts. I think you do on YouTube, but...
Well, I don't know, because I think outside, other people can still make clips, which I think did have the chat, so we just don't get to. But I don't know. Doesn't really matter for the overall outcome. As right now, game state for Nongshim is really hope someone just walks into you.
Yeah. They did get a dragon. And that's an Infernal. I mean, that's news.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they need closer Envy.
No one can take
or maybe Cal to just walk into unwatered territory and multiple people alone.
Yeah.
But they have full vision control.
Ow. Oh, Vital's like, I'm leaving.
Closer doesn't even have his... Oh no.
All right. Okay, Fiesta. Where's that flash button? Oh, okay. Mikhail's going to be used. May still need to flash. Doesn't. However, he's very close to dead. 35 seconds on this Infernal.
Hey,
looks like it's going to be soul point for Liv Sandbox.
Like that itemization from Peter. That's a positive thing to say about Nongshim here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, they lost 2 fights, and the game is kind of over. Nongshim, that is.
Yeah.
And for Sandbox as well, you know, hats off to them. Draw after the great comp. Play around about. Look at the vision. Look, you can't do anything.
No.
There's saplings, there's wards, there's turrets. It's too much stuff, Atlas.
So many things that they have to worry about. As now, Dindin going to move towards closer here. See what he can do. So, Liv Sandbox, they'll get to work on the Drake. Next thing to worry about, as far as Nongshim is concerned, is this Baron. And how easily Liv Sandbox are going to be able to lock that one down. Right now, fair bit of vision available for Nongshim, but Liv Sandbox are focusing on collecting this dragon first. That is going to line up the Infernal Soul in 5 minutes' time if they make it that far. And the Baron going to be the next option there. So, Nongshim, can you get vision down, or can you catch Liv Sandbox whilst they're trying to get vision down? Maybe that's the opportunity. Maybe that's the way.
Well put, Atlas. There's really not a lot to talk about this game, unfortunately, at this point.
Yeah, this is a cup with like not very much in it at all that we're trying to explain is half full.
Even I can't really justify it. It's like maybe 30.
It's like a very empty cup, but it's like I'm saying that it's humid in this room, so actually there's a lot of moisture in the cup by it just sitting there empty.
There's a couple of droplets.
Yeah, there could be
leftover tea.
I mean, there's generally moisture in the air at all times.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And it depends what percentage of humidity it is. So even an empty cup on some days could theoretically almost be half full, right?
Or even full.
Or even full.
Might not
there you
look
go.
that way.
Whoa, that's some serious positivity. Love to see it. Dundun walking up this this river here.
I personally believe the problem is that Dundun hasn't died enough. He's not drawing enough pressure, so the rest of his team doesn't know what to do.
Ah, so in the end, it's Dundun's fault again.
It is, yeah, absolutely. He's not doing enough. It's the only reasonable call here. There you go. He's doing stuff. Here, look. Immediately.
He leaped, struck the Fiora. Absolutely incredible. Vital needs to not take any damage, and it feels really, really impossible because he just isn't very durable. Avoids that shock blast, definitely good news, but as you can see, all of that vision was just transferred towards the top side, and Liv Sandbox are getting to work on this Baron. See whether Nongshim utilize their blue trinkets right now, whether they're going to wait, because right now the Baron is being taken, and they have no idea what's going on. There it is. Secured basically 2 people, and I think Nongshim knew that they didn't have any opportunity to get anything done. As now, Nature's Grasp going to come through yet again, but looked a little bit more defensively orientated, and Will is going to have that one up and available again pretty soon.
Yeah, we're circling the drain here, and you can argue about whether or not there's a lot of water circling, you know, if it's half empty, half full.
Yeah, that's true.
But there is water. It is circling.
You're saying that the drain is half full, that we're circling.
Well, the drain is fully full, because there's a lot of water going in.
I think this
We're
drain
talking
might
about
be half
we're
empty.
talking about the bath. What can a drain really be empty? I mean, obviously when the bath is empty, but then the bath's empty, right? It's not really the drain. The drain isn't really a container for anything.
No, it's more of a, yeah.
It's a conduit.
It's a conduit.
Yeah.
For emptiness. That sounds very sad. A conduit for emptiness. All right, well, we'll see whether we're going to be able to claw our way out of this conduit of emptiness, Chronicler.
Well, I think the game is ending soon. So
indeed,
that should help.
That will be an escape. As Willa does have the ulti back available yet again. Fair bit of ability haste in his build, so therefore was able to just utilize his ult whenever he sees fit. And then fighting quite nicely here into Bertle. As another ult, just a little bit of an R button press, and now Close is going to dive forward. Scatter the Weak comes through. Sylvie did make it out with the help of the Mikhails from Peter. Now he won't have that one up and available again. Vital in trouble. As the inhibitor does finally go down. Liv Sandbox just leaning on Nongshim right now. And their backs are beginning to break. As mid lane also going to get taken down. Scatter the Weak on cooldown. And Nongshim, there just aren't that many options. There aren't many things that they can do into this composition at this point in time. And I think they're just going to have to watch as their Nexus turrets fall down. Bertle even able to take the top inhibitor turret as well. Dundun, can you do anything? Can you salvage this situation? He's going to get challenged. He is not going to fall. There is one turret in the way. It's all right. Sylvie dives forward. They get some damage. Willa doesn't have very much mana. Chronicler, there is at least that. But there is one turret between Nongshim. One turret and a dream is all they have. As Liv Sandbox with this Baron with a billion minions and not very much of a health bar on the side of Nongshim. They should be able to barrel down and take this one. So the Nexus will be the focus, and Liv Sandbox will walk away victorious from game number 1.
Very clean, very calculated, maybe not the most high-octane gameplay, as we got what was effectively 7 kills in a 30-minute game. We got an 8th one at the end, but that one doesn't really count. But what can you say? Nongshim took 2 bad fights, and then the game was over. That's really, they got the one fight in mid, the one fight in mid after the one fight at Dragon, and that was it.
Yep.
That was the end of the game.
Yeah. I think a lot of it does come back to what we saw being drafted. The R5 Syndra getting completely pummeled and not really doing anything the entire game.